This is a very short video on how exponents work. And once you understand this, you have the basis for scientific notation. And once you understand that, your biology is going to be really easy. So let's start with something very simple like x raised to the third power. Okay, here is the deal. If you ever see a number sitting around somewhere like this is a number. If you see here also maybe 7, there's a number. You see something just sitting around. The truth is, it is over. You can make it into a fraction by putting it over 1. This is the truth. That is, you can make it a fraction like that. So this is really x cubed over 1. This is how exponents work. X is called the base and 3 is called the exponent. Now, if I want to cross the fraction bar, what will happen is the sign, the positive or negative sign of my power or my exponent will change whenever I cross the fraction bar. So this right here, this 7 right here is currently to the power 1. So that looks a little weird. So I like to start with a variable first. So if we have x to the negative 3, if I want to change the sign, this is equivalent to, I can bring x to the 3 downstairs, but what's going to happen is this turns into a negative 3, and that turns into a 1. This is the truth. So let me just go through a few of these with you. What if I have x to the negative 5? Well, if I see him, this is the truth. I can always put that over 1. If I want to cross the fraction bar, this is the same thing as 1 over x to the positive 5. So this is how exponents work. So let's just practice. What if I've got 1 over x to the 4? And I want to cross the fraction bar. Okay, let's move him upstairs. If we do that, that becomes x to the negative 4 over 1. What if I've got x to the 10? 1 over x to the 10. Cross the fraction bar. This becomes x to the negative 10 over 1, or simply x to the negative 10. So you can change things from, you can cross the fraction bar, but what it will affect is the power. It will change the sign of the power. So for instance, if I've got these, x to the negative 3, or x to the 7, or x to the negative 20. I can just put these over 1 and call this 1 over x to the 3. This is really 1 over x to the negative 7. This is really 1 over x to the 20, and vice versa. If I have 1 over x to the negative 5, 1 over x to the 8, this is really, if I bring him upstairs, this is x to the 5 over 1, or simply x to the 5. This is x to the negative 8 over 1, or simply x to the 8. So that is how they work. Now, what if we have to combine powers, like multiply 2 together or divide? This is how that works. Just like this. What if you've got something like x to the negative 2 over x to the 5? What would you do with that? I would move x to the 5 upstairs. So this becomes x to the negative 2 times x to the negative 5 over 1. And then when you have a base to a power times the same base to a power, you can add the exponents. This becomes x to the negative 2 plus negative 5, or x to the negative 7. Now, if I wanted to write that as a positive exponent, remember this is over 1. This could be 1 over x to the 7th. All right, let's go again. What if you've got x to the 10 over x to the negative 4? Bring him upstairs. This is x to the 10. Change this to positive, x to the 4. X to the 10 plus 4, or x to the 14. If you wanted to put it downstairs, you could write this as 1 over x to the negative 14. These are equivalent. Okay, what if we've got x to the 3rd times x to the negative 8 divided by x to the 10? What will we do with this? These are both sitting next to each other being multiplied. I can add these. So this is really x to the 3 plus negative 8 is a negative 5 over x to the 10. Now I can bring him upstairs, and this becomes x to the negative 5 times x to the negative 10 over 1 he changes, and this becomes x to the negative 15. So that's kind of how exponents work. Now, how it will appear to you in your course is not as typically as x's, but as 10 to the power. So let's look at that. What if you've got, instead of x to a power, you've got 10 to the something? Well, that's fine. Let me just go through here and pretend like these are 10s, and it works exactly the same way. What if you've got 10 to the 10 over 10 to the negative 4? What would you do there? The same exact thing. What if you have 10 to the third times 10 to the negative 8 over 10 to the 10? How does this work? Well, the same exact way as when it was x's. It will work like this. This is 10 to the 10. Bring him upstairs times 10 to the positive 4 over 1. This becomes 10 to the 10 plus 4 or 14. Here, these are on the same side. This is the same thing as 10 to the 3 plus negative 8, negative 5 over 10 to the 10. And then I can bring him upstairs. This is 10 to the negative 5 times 10 to the negative 10, or 10 to the negative 15. One other thing I will point out is that if you have 1 times 10 to the negative 3, that is the same thing as 10 to the negative 3. Or if you have 1 times 10 to the 4, that is the same thing as 10 to the 4. We write it both ways sometimes. So that is just a little bit about exponents.